What did Shawn Ray mean when he talked about drugs on the RX Muscle interview after Shawn Rhoden's passing? Well, yesterday was my birthday, and I spoke to Shawn 2 or 3 times on the phone. We did voice text back and forth. This is really bothering him, guys, like truly bothering him. And, you know, when I watched the interview, I took it to mean bodybuilding drugs, you know, testosterone, diuretics, growth, insulin, all the drugs that bodybuilders take. And that's exactly what Shawn meant. And, you know, he went at length telling me about it. And he's really upset about it, guys, because, you know, he says that, you know, him and Shawn Rhoden always got along. And some food for thought, he says that he got Shawn Rhoden's first contract and that Shawn Rhoden even stayed at his house. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And, you know, the whole interview at RX Muscle, and I'm not saying that, you know, people don't have a right to be upset. Of course people have a right to be upset because, you know, the implication, based on everything we've heard, is that Shawn was talking about street drugs, recreational drugs. But, you know, like, I don't get that at all, because the whole while they're talking about gear. Shawn's talking about the fact that Shawn Rhoden was 5'9" and 290 of pure muscle. How many crackheads, meth heads do you know that pack on 290 pounds of muscle on a 5'9" frame? I mean, none. I mean, you know, Palumbo should have asked Shawn, do you mean street drugs? And Shawn would have said, no, I mean bodybuilding drugs. And see, that's the thing. Shawn really believes, and I believe, and you should believe, that, you know, therapies are drugs. Aspirin's a drug. Testosterone's a drug. Yeah, I mean, diuretics is a drug. Yeah, I mean, insulin used for bodybuilding purposes or for diabetics is a drug. I mean, so I know that a lot of bodybuilders don't consider, you know, the supplements exogenous to be drugs, but they're drugs. And so, you know, Dave should have asked, and I don't want to, look, I'm not trying to demonize Dave, you know, like, honestly, maybe Dave knew what Shawn was talking about. I knew what Shawn was talking about. I didn't feel like he needed to make the point. Or are you talking about bodybuilding drugs, or are you talking about street drugs? But maybe that would have helped. And look, guys, I'm not here to, you know, attack anyone. I don't want to attack anyone. I don't feel that's necessary. And like, look, I love Shawn Rhoden. I really love Shawn Rhoden. Him and Brandon are my favorite Mr. Olympias of all time, you know, and, you know, it's one of those things where I understand the pain that Sergio has, that Guy has, that Chris, the technician Aceto has. Like, only thing with Chris, though, like, you know, he took shots at Shawn's marriage, and he took shots at Shawn's mom, and it's like, that's kind of like, to me, below the belt. Like, you don't attack kids, you don't attack wives, you don't attack parents, like, but I understand that he was coming from a place of pain. I get that. But honestly, like, I mean, look, again, I'm not trying to attack anybody, but like, kind of look at the source a little bit. You know, I mean, RX Muscle kind of has this tendency to, you know, create drama where maybe there is no drama, to, you know, exploit the hell out of stories. I mean, like, even Dave removing the video, having to make another video to say he was removing the video, keeping the story alive throughout the weekend. I mean, it's like, it's kind of like putting salt on the wound, you know what I mean? Look at Generation Iron. Did they cover this? No. Look at Evolution of Bodybuilding. Did they cover this? No. Now, bullshit, Bodybuilding and Bullshit covered it. Nick Trigilli covered it. And Nick is someone that I love. I look up to him greatly, and I've worked with him, and I'd like to work with him more in the future. Do we have to all agree all the time? No. Is everybody always going to be liked in bodybuilding? No. But I feel that maybe Nick will watch this and maybe look at it from a different perspective, that Shawn maybe meant bodybuilding drugs and didn't mean street drugs. And the thing is, guys, is like Shawn's got his own voice. Shawn can fight his own battles. I'm certainly not here to do that. But, you know, the guy is torn up about it. We spoke on the phone 3 times. We spoke on voice tech back and forth. We texted back and forth. Like, this is affecting him. He's upset by this because he never meant, and he has no reason to lie to me, and he has no reason to lie at all. I mean, he's not, I mean, just think about it, guys. Like, you know, they never had any animosity. I mean, if this was, you know, God forbid, but if this was, you know, Shawn Ray and William Bonac, Shawn Ray and Dexter Jackson, you know, okay, but Shawn Ray and Shawn Rhoden never had any beefs, guys, ever. It doesn't make any sense that Shawn Ray would go out of his way to trash Shawn Rhoden. He even said that it was a tragedy. He said Shawn Rhoden was a great bodybuilder. I mean, guys, like, again, I just hope that, you know, maybe now that a little bit of the anger has subsided, maybe people can, like, kind of rationalize a little bit and look at it a little bit, like, more fairly, and not so, like, you know, just just so like against Shawn. Like, a lot of people don't like Shawn. A lot of people don't like Shawn, and you know, this only made it worse. But I like Shawn, and Shawn's my friend, and I'm not here to fight his battles for him, but he knows I'm doing this. He appreciates that I'm doing this. He's got a show next weekend. He's putting a lot into that, and I just, you know, I feel bad, and I've told him numerous times to stop thinking about this, because, you know, I know what he meant, and I think a lot of people know what he meant, but unfortunately a great many don't know what he meant. And, you know, you're free to reach out to him. You know, I also told Shawn, you know, maybe Bob Ciccarello with his Voice of Bodybuilding could do something like this, reach a hell of a lot more people than me. But that's up to Bob. I don't know if Bob wants to do that. I don't know if Kevin Gretsch, Evolution of Bodybuilding, wants to say something, or Generation Iron wants to say something. Shawn Ray is not, you know, he's not the piece of crap that so many of you are trying to make him out to be. He's not. He's always been a good friend to me, and we did not get off to the, you know, we didn't get off on a good foot. We used to fight like hell, like cats and dogs on the MD boards. But he's my friend, and I care about him, and I believe him. I don't believe that he meant street drugs. And it's something that Palumbo could have caught, and it's something that Palumbo could have addressed. It's something he could have addressed on his taking down of the video, but he didn't. And you know, I'm not going to speak on that. But look, as well as so many others, as well as Shawn Ray, as well as Sergio and Chris Aceto and Dave Palumbo, the whole bodybuilding world is mourning the passing of Shawn Rhoden. Flexatron was just, I can't even say enough about him. You know, I always maintained contact with him. I always supported him. I never backed away from him. He recognized that. And we had many, many off-the-record conversations, and we spoke on the phone. And it's not a competition of, you know, who was around Shawn more and who went to more appearances with Shawn. It's not like he was your friend more and he was my friend less and he was your friend more. It's not a competition. We were all friends with him. We all loved him, and we all mourn his passing. And I understand the pain, and I get that. And people deal with loss in a million different ways. But when I tell you that Shawn Ray is beat up and torn up about this, and feels like his voice wasn't heard, and feels like he was totally, you know, just misrepresented, it you know, it's real. It's real. And you know, like, I know a lot of people feel like, you know, Hall of Famers and, you know, promoters, and he's very successful. You know, that's another thing that a lot of people could just not wrap their heads around. Why is he getting signed to Mutant Nutrition? Like, why is he being so successful? He's being successful because he's worked his ass off. But the thing is that, you know, emotions are very raw, and people are very angry, and you know, I just hope that you just take what I'm saying for what it's worth. You know, he had no reason to confide in, well, he does have a reason to confide, we're friends, but he had no reason to carry this around. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, he can't go on Digital Muscle to talk about this. He can't. I mean, Digital Muscle belongs to Jake Wood. It's not like he can't do whatever he wants with that. You know, he's not going to go back on RX, he tells me. And there's really not a lot of other places he can go. I mean, he's under contract with a lot of people, and, like, you know, he's associated to the Olympia. He's associated to his competition in Hawaii. Like, he's not looking to just get pulled into, like, you know, and the thing is that even if he did go on an outlet, and even if he did try to, like, you know, express himself and say what he really meant, it's only going to create more drama. You know, people will get out there and make videos attacking him. Then he'll have to respond to those videos. It's a never-ending situation. So I'm happy to do this for him. And I just hope that you will, I don't know, just have an open mind. Have an open mind. Again, if it was a conversation about street drugs, don't you think that something like cocaine or heroin or antidepressant or something would have come up? Like, it was a 33-minute interview. The drug clip was like 10 seconds, and it was never mentioned again. But what was mentioned a lot were the bodybuilding drugs. You know, were the diuretics, the insulin, the testosterone, the pre-existing conditions, the blood thickening, the possibility of a heart attack, the possibility of a broken heart, the fact he couldn't compete. And Shawn didn't think he could compete because of the federation stance and because of the PR, but some, you know, Palumbo thought that he should, I thought that he should. That's what the interview was about. And the fact that, you know, a 10-second sound clip that was very, very vague was used to just destroy this guy, and it was used to just create hours and hours and hours of content for various different websites, should give you pause.